The morning sun cast bright light through the massive glass windows of the Stellar Drive Emporium. The showroom stretched across 3 levels of New Terra Station, displaying the most expensive starships in human space. Chrome and silver surfaces gleamed under perfect lighting. Every ship looked like it could slice through the stars themselves. Lisa Morton walked between the displays, checking each vessel with practiced eyes. She had worked at the dealership for 8 years. Her sales record was the best on the station. She knew how to spot a real buyer from someone just looking around. Rich customers had a certain way about them. They wore expensive clothes. They moved with confidence. They asked the right questions about engine specifications and jump drive capabilities. The Quantum Interceptor sat in the center of the showroom, like a jewel. Its sleek black hull reflected the lights above. This ship could travel faster than most military vessels. It cost more credits than some people made in their entire lives. Lisa had only sold 3 of them in her career. Each sale had earned her enough commission to buy her own small apartment on the station. She straightened her uniform jacket and checked her appearance in the ship's polished surface. Today felt like it might bring another big sale. The morning. Appointments included a mining company executive and a retired general looking for a personal transport. The door chimed as someone entered. Lisa looked up to see a woman walking slowly into the showroom. The visitor wore simple gray pants and a plain white shirt. Her brown hair was pulled back in a basic style. She carried no expensive bag or jewelry. Her shoes looked comfortable, but worn. Lisa watched the woman stop in front of the Quantum Interceptor. The visitor stood quietly, looking at the ship's sleek lines. She walked around it slowly, studying every detail. Her expression was calm and focused. "Excuse me," the woman said, approaching Lisa. Her voice was soft but clear. "Could you tell me about this ship?" Lisa glanced at the woman's simple clothes again. She had seen this type before. People who wandered in from the station corridors drawn by the fancy ships they could never afford. They wasted time asking questions about vessels that cost more than their yearly salary. "That's the Quantum Interceptor," Lisa said with a polite but distant smile. "It's quite expensive. Are you looking for something more in your price range? We have some nice used shuttles on the lower level." The woman's face showed no reaction to the dismissal. "I'm interested in the specifications for this model. What kind of range does it have?" Lisa sighed quietly. "Like I said, it's probably not what you're looking for. The Interceptor is designed for people with very specific needs and very deep pockets." "Could you show me the technical details anyway?" the woman asked. Lisa looked around the showroom. 2 other customers had just entered. One wore an expensive suit and carried himself like someone important. The other had the bearing of a military officer. Both looked like they actually had money to spend. "Look," Lisa said, her patience wearing thin. "I don't want to waste your time or mine. The Quantum Interceptor starts at 12 million credits. That's before any custom modifications. The insurance alone costs more than most people make in a year." The woman nodded calmly. "I understand the price range. I'm still interested in the technical specifications." Lisa felt her frustration growing. This woman clearly didn't understand what she was dealing with. The Quantum Interceptor wasn't just expensive. It was a ship for the ultra-wealthy, corporate heads, military commanders, people who made decisions that affected entire star systems. "The technical specs are quite complex," Lisa said. "They require security clearance to discuss in detail. I'd need to see proof of funds and a valid purchase intent before I could share that information." "I see," the woman said quietly. She looked at the ship again, then back at Lisa. "What about the other ships in this section?" Lisa gestured toward the back of the showroom. "We have some very nice pre-owned vessels in the economy section. There's a perfectly good cargo shuttle that just came in. Only 15 years old. Very reliable for basic transport needs." The woman followed Lisa's gesture but didn't move toward the back section. Instead, she continued to study the premium ships around them. She walked to the next display, a military-grade assault vessel called the Stormbreaker. Its weapon systems were clearly visible along its hull. "This one has impressive firepower," the woman observed. Lisa barely glanced over. That's a military contract ship. You need special licensing just to look at the weapon systems. I really think you'd be happier looking at our civilian models. The woman moved to the next ship, a luxury explorer designed for long-range missions. Its elegant curves and premium materials made it look more like a space yacht than a working vessel. Beautiful design, the woman said. How many crew does it require? Minimum crew of 8. Lisa answered automatically, then caught herself. Why was she even answering these questions? This woman clearly couldn't afford any of these ships. She should be focusing on the real customers who had just walked in. I'll be right back, Lisa told the woman. Feel free to look around the economy section while you wait. Lisa walked quickly toward the 2 new customers. The man in the expensive suit was examining a corporate transport vessel. He looked like the type who made deals worth millions of credits. The military-looking woman was studying the technical display for a combat frigate. These were her real customers. People who understood value and had the means to pay for it. People who didn't waste time asking questions about ships they could never hope to own. Behind her, the simply dressed woman continued to walk slowly through the premium section. She stopped at each ship, studying them with careful attention. She seemed to be taking mental notes about their capabilities and features. Lisa began her approach to the suited man. This was where her expertise would pay off. This was a customer worth her time and attention. Someone who could actually make a purchase that would matter. The woman in simple clothes continued her quiet examination of the most expensive ships in the showroom. She moved with calm purpose, as if she had all the time in the world, as if she belonged there among the gleaming vessels that cost more than some planet's entire defense budgets. But Lisa had already dismissed her as just another dreamer, wandering among ships she could never afford. It was a mistake that would soon change everything. Lisa was halfway through her sales pitch to the man in the expensive suit when the front door chimed again. She glanced over without much interest, expecting another casual browser. Instead, she saw a figure that made her pause mid-sentence. The man who entered commanded attention without trying. He stood tall with broad shoulders and moved with the controlled grace of someone used to danger. His face was weathered by years of space travel, with small scars that spoke of battles fought and won. His uniform was simple but perfectly maintained. Even without insignia, everything about him screamed military authority. Lisa watched as several other customers in the showroom turned to look. The man's presence filled the space around him. He had the kind of confidence that came from leading others through life and death situations. His eyes swept the room with practiced efficiency, taking in every detail and potential threat. The simply dressed woman who had been examining the premium ships looked up as the newcomer entered. Her calm expression brightened into what might have been relief. She raised her hand in a small wave. The military man spotted her immediately and walked directly over. His boots made solid sounds on the polished floor. As he approached, Lisa heard him speak in a voice that carried authority even when kept low. "Sorry I'm late, Admiral," he said. "Traffic control held us up for an hour. Some diplomatic convoy from the Centauri system." Lisa felt her blood turn cold. "Admiral." She stared at the woman in simple clothes, her mind racing. There was no way this ordinary-looking person could be a military admiral. Admirals wore uniforms covered in medals. They traveled with security details. They certainly didn't wander around starship dealerships in plain civilian clothes. "No problem, Alex," the woman replied. "I've been looking at the available models, though I haven't gotten much information yet." The man called Alex nodded and extended his hand. "Captain Alex Rivers, ma'am. Ready to help evaluate these ships?" "For the fleet purchase." The words hit Lisa like a physical blow. She abandoned her conversation with the suited customer and moved closer, trying to hear more without appearing obvious. "What do you think of the Quantum Interceptor?" the woman asked Alex. "It has impressive speed ratings." Alex walked around. The sleek black ship, his trained eye noting details that most people would miss. "Good acceleration curve. The quantum drive system is solid. How many were you thinking for the scout wing?" "Probably 20 to start," the woman said casually. "We'll need fast ships for advanced reconnaissance. 20 quantum interceptors." Lisa's commission calculator worked frantically in her head. Each ship cost 12 million credits. 20 would be worth 240 million credits. Her Yandi commission on that sale alone would be enough to retire. The Stormbreaker might work better for patrol duties. Alex continued, moving to the military vessel. Better armor and weapons systems. Though we'd need to discuss modifications for long-range missions. Lisa crept closer, pretending to organize some display materials. She needed to hear this conversation clearly. These people were talking about buying multiple ships worth hundreds of millions of credits. How had she missed this? I was thinking. About the Explorer class for the science teams, the woman said. They need laboratory space and long-term life support. Good choice, Alex agreed. How many science vessels total? At least 15. Maybe 20 if the budget allows. Lisa's hand shook as she pretended to dust a nearby display case. This woman was talking about purchasing an entire fleet. Not just one or two ships, but dozens of the most expensive vessels in the showroom. Alex noticed Lisa hovering nearby. Excuse me, he called over. Could we get some technical specifications on these models? We need detailed information for our evaluation. Lisa hurried over, her professional smile now genuine but desperate. Of course. I'd be happy to help. I'm Lisa Morton, Senior Sales Consultant. The woman looked at Lisa with mild surprise. I thought you said the technical specifications required security clearance? Lisa felt heat rush to her face. Well, yes, normally they do. But for serious buyers, we can certainly make arrangements. Let me get you our premium information packages. That would be helpful, Alex said. We're on a tight timeline for this procurement. The Admiral needs to make final decisions within the week. Lisa's mind raced. Admiral. This woman really was an admiral, but which one? The Human Defense Force had several admirals, but Lisa tried to remember which ones she might have seen in news broadcasts. Most kept low profiles for security reasons. Might I ask which branch of service? Lisa asked carefully. Terran Defense. Fleet, Alex replied. Deep space operations. The Terran Defense Fleet was humanity's primary military force. They protected trade routes, defended colonies, and conducted major military operations across human space. Their procurement budgets were enormous. Lisa had heard other salespeople talk about military contracts worth billions of credits. And you're looking at a full fleet replacement? Lisa asked, hardly daring to believe it. New mission requirements, the woman said simply. We need ships configured for extended deep space operations, mixed combat and exploration capabilities. Lisa nodded eagerly. We can definitely accommodate those needs. Our engineering team can do custom modifications. Extended fuel systems, enhanced communications, specialized equipment mounting. Good, Alex said. We'll need detailed proposals for each ship class, cost breakdowns for different configuration options, and timeline estimates for delivery. Absolutely, Lisa said. I can have our technical team prepare comprehensive packages for each model you're interested in. When would be convenient for a detailed presentation? The woman and Alex looked at each other. There was something in their exchange that Lisa couldn't quite read. A moment of silent communication between people who had worked together for a long time. Actually, the woman said slowly, I think we might want to look at other dealerships as well. Get some competitive proposals. Lisa felt panic rising in her chest. Oh, I'm sure we can offer very competitive terms. We have excellent relationships with the manufacturers. Volume discounts. Priority delivery schedules. I'm sure you do, the woman said politely. But we always do our due diligence on major purchases. Alex checked his watch. We have an appointment across town in 30 minutes, Admiral. Should we head over there? The woman nodded. Yes, let's do that. Lisa watched in growing horror as they prepared to leave. This was the biggest potential sale of her career walking out the door. Wait, she called out. Let me at least get you our preliminary pricing. I can have numbers ready in 5 minutes. That won't be necessary, the woman said. Her voice remained calm and polite, but there was something final in her tone. We'll be in touch if we decide to move forward. Lisa stood frozen as the two figures walked toward the exit. Her biggest sale ever was disappearing before her eyes, and she had no idea how to stop it. Lisa followed the two figures toward the exit, her heart pounding. She couldn't let them leave. Not with a potential sale worth hundreds of millions of credits. Not with the biggest commission of her life walking out the door. "Please wait," she called out, her voice higher than she intended. "I think there's been a misunderstanding." The Admiral turned around slowly. Her expression was patient but distant. Alex stopped beside her, his weathered face showing mild curiosity. "What kind of misunderstanding?" the Admiral asked. Lisa struggled to find the right words. "How could," she explained without admitting her earlier rudeness. "I may not have given you the attention you deserved when you first arrived. I was busy with other customers." "I see," the Admiral said simply. The silence stretched uncomfortably. Lisa realized she needed to say more. "If you could give me another chance, I'd be happy to provide detailed information about all our premium models. Full technical specifications, custom modification options, whatever you need." Alex spoke up. "The Admiral already asked for technical details. You told her they required security clearance." Lisa felt her face burning. "Yes, well, that's standard policy for walk-in customers. But for military procurement, we have different procedures." "Different procedures for different people?" the Admiral asked. Her voice remained calm, but there was something sharp underneath. "It's just that we get a lot of casual browsers," Lisa explained desperately. "People who aren't serious buyers. I have to protect my time for real customers." "Real customers," the Admiral repeated. Lisa nodded eagerly. "Exactly. People who actually have the authority and funds to make major purchases. Like yourselves, obviously." Alex and the Admiral exchanged another look. Lisa watched their silent communication with growing unease. These two had clearly worked together for years. They could read each other's thoughts. "Tell me," the Admiral said, "what made you think I wasn't a real customer?" The question was a trap, and Lisa knew it, but she had to answer something. "Well, it's just that most of our high-end buyers have a certain presentation. They dress the part. They carry themselves differently." "They look wealthy," Alex said. "Yes," Lisa admitted. "Experience has taught me to recognize serious buyers." The Admiral nodded slowly. "I understand. You judge people by their appearance." "Not judge," Lisa said quickly. "Just prioritize my time efficiently. It's basic sales strategy." "And where did you want to prioritize me?" the Admiral asked. Lisa's mouth went dry. "The economy section, but that was before I knew who you were." "Who am I?" the Admiral asked. Lisa realized she still didn't know the woman's name. She knew her rank and service branch, but nothing else. "You're an admiral in the Terran Defense Fleet, Admiral Sandra Blake," Alex provided helpfully. The name hit Lisa like a physical blow. Admiral Sandra Blake. Everyone in human space knew that name. She had led the defense of the Kepler colonies against alien raiders. She had negotiated the peace treaty with the Vegan Republic. She had been featured on news broadcasts across the galaxy, and Lisa had sent her to look at used shuttles. "Admiral Blake," Lisa whispered. "I didn't recognize you." "Most people don't," Sandra said calmly. "I prefer it that way. It lets me see how people really behave when they think no one important is watching." Lisa's career flashed before her eyes. Not just this sale, but her entire future. Word would get out about how she had treated Admiral Blake. The military community was small and tightly connected. Officers talked to each other. Her reputation would be destroyed. "Admiral, I sincerely apologize," Lisa said. "If I had known who you were, you would have treated me differently," Sandra finished. "Yes," Lisa admitted. "But you didn't know," Alex pointed out. "So you treated a potential customer poorly based solely on how she looked." Lisa wanted to argue, but the words wouldn't come. Everything they were saying was true. She had judged Sandra by her simple clothes and quiet manner. She had dismissed her without giving her a chance. "This procurement isn't just about buying ships," Sandra said. "It's about humanity's next great venture into deep space." We're launching an exploration mission that will take us farther from Earth than we've ever gone before. Lisa nodded, not trusting her voice. We'll be making contact with alien civilizations that have never met humans, Sandra continued. These first meetings will shape how they view our entire species. The impression we make will echo through history. Alex picked up the thread. That's why character matters more than appearance. When we meet alien species, they won't judge us by our uniforms or our wealth. They'll judge us by our actions. The crews we select for this mission must understand that, Sandra said. They must treat every being with respect regardless of how different they might look or seem. Lisa began to understand where this was leading. You're testing people. Not intentionally, Sandra said. But yes, in a way. How someone treats a person they think is unimportant tells you everything about their character. The ship dealers we work with become part of our extended team, Alex explained. We need partners who share our values. People who understand that every individual deserves dignity and respect. Lisa felt the full weight of her failure settling on her. She hadn't just lost a sale. She had failed a test of basic human decency. Understand if you don't want to work with me, Lisa said quietly. But please don't let my mistake reflect on the entire dealership. We have other salespeople who could serve you better. Sandra considered this. Your colleague over there seems to be treating his customers well. Lisa looked over at another salesperson who was patiently explaining technical details to an elderly couple. He was taking time to answer their questions thoroughly, even though they were clearly looking at less expensive models. Jake is one of our best, Lisa said honestly. He treats everyone the same way. That's what we need, Alex said. Someone who understands that respect isn't earned by wealth or rank. It's given freely to all people. Sandra looked back at Lisa. I appreciate your honesty about your mistake. That shows some character. But this procurement is too important to risk on someone who might judge our alien contacts by their appearance. Lisa nodded, understanding. She had destroyed her own opportunity through her own prejudices. The biggest sale of her career was walking away, and she had no one to blame but herself. We'll speak with Jake about the technical requirements, Sandra said. Thank you for your time, Lisa. As they walked toward Jake's section, Lisa stood alone among the gleaming starships, realizing she had just witnessed something more important than a business transaction. She had seen the values that would guide humanity's expansion into the galaxy, and she had failed to live up to them. Lisa watched from across the showroom as Sandra and Alex approached Jake Martinez at his workstation. Jake looked up from his computer terminal with his usual friendly smile. He stood to greet them properly, something Lisa realized she had never done. Good morning, Jake said warmly. I'm Jake Martinez. How can I help you today? We're interested in discussing a fleet purchase, Sandra said simply. Jake's expression didn't change. He didn't scan their clothes or judge their appearance. He simply nodded and gestured to the comfortable chairs near his desk. Please, have a seat. Can I get you something to drink? Coffee? Water? Lisa had never offered refreshments to Sandra. The oversight felt like another small cut to her professional pride. Coffee would be great, Alex said. It's been a long morning. Jake moved to the small refreshment area and returned with 3 cups of coffee. He sat down across from them and pulled out a tablet. Now, when you say fleet purchase, what kind of scale are we talking about? Approximately 60 ships, Sandra said. Mixed classes for different mission requirements. Jake's eyebrows rose slightly, but his professional composure never wavered. That's certainly a substantial order. May I ask what type of organization you represent? Terran Defense Fleet, Alex said. Deep Space Exploration Division. Excellent, Jake said, making notes on his tablet. Military specifications will require some additional paperwork, but we're fully certified for defense contracts. What's your timeline? Lisa found herself moving closer to hear the conversation. She told herself she was just curious about Jake's sales technique. But truthfully, she was fascinated by how differently this interaction was going. We need delivery within 8 months, Sandra said. The mission launch is scheduled for early next year. Challenging but doable, Jake said thoughtfully. We'll need to coordinate with multiple shipyards. What types of missions will these ships be conducting? Alex leaned forward. Long-range exploration beyond the frontier, first contact scenarios with unknown alien species, scientific research, diplomatic missions. Jake nodded seriously. That's important context. It affects everything from life support systems to communication arrays. For first contact missions, you'll want ships that project the right image, not too aggressive but clearly capable. Lisa was struck by Jake's immediate understanding. He grasped the bigger picture without needing lengthy explanations. Exactly, Sandra said, and Lisa caught a note of approval in her voice. We're not going out there to conquer anyone. We're explorers and diplomats. Then you'll want to emphasize the exploration class vessels, Jake suggested. They're impressive without being threatening. Good balance of capabilities. What about the quantum interceptors? Alex asked. We need some fast scout ships. Perfect for advanced reconnaissance, Jake agreed. How many were you thinking? 20 to start, Sandra said. Jake made notes without blinking at the number. The interceptors can be configured for extended range operations. We can upgrade the fuel systems and add diplomatic communication packages. Lisa realized she was witnessing a masterclass in customer service. Jake treated every detail as important. He asked thoughtful questions. He made suggestions based on their actual needs rather than just trying to sell the most expensive options. For the science vessels, Jake continued, you'll want the Explorer class. They have modular laboratory space and excellent sensor arrays. How many researchers will you be carrying? Varies by mission, Sandra said. Teams of 8 to 20, depending on the planet type. We can design flexible configurations, Jake said. Reconfigurable lab spaces, extra quarters that can be converted to specialized equipment storage. Alex smiled. You really understand what we're trying to accomplish. It's fascinating work, Jake said genuinely. Humanity's expansion into deep space is one of the most important endeavors of our time. Lisa felt a pang of loss. This was the conversation she should have been having, the relationship she should have been building. Can you tell me more about your approach to first contact? Jake asked. It helps me understand what kind of impression you want your ships to make. Sandra set down her coffee cup. Other species have often used force to expand their territories. The Altarians conquered their neighbors. The Vegans absorbed weaker civilizations. But humans do things differently. We believe strength comes from cooperation, Alex added. We want to meet new species as equals, not conquerors. Jake nodded thoughtfully. So your ships need to demonstrate capability without appearing threatening. Exactly, Sandra said. When an alien species sees human ships for the first time, we want them to see explorers and potential friends, not invaders. That's a beautiful philosophy, Jake said. And it makes practical sense too. Allies are more valuable than subjects. Lisa found herself hanging on every word. She was learning more about humanity's place in the galaxy from this conversation than from years of news broadcasts. The amazing thing, Sandra continued, is how well this approach works. Every species we've met peacefully has become a trading partner or ally. Compare that to the constant conflicts the conquest-minded species face. Humans see potential where others see threats, Alex said. We look for what we can build together rather than what we can take. Jake was writing notes, rapidly. This context is incredibly helpful for the design specifications. We can emphasize the diplomatic communication systems, maybe upgrade the cultural database storage. Perfect, Sandra said. You understand exactly what we need. Lisa realized this was about more than just selling ships. Jake was helping to shape humanity's future in space. He was a partner in something magnificent. One more question, Jake said. What happens when you encounter species that are hostile? Not everyone in the galaxy shares humanity's peaceful approach. Alex and Sandra exchanged a look. We prepare for that possibility, Alex said carefully. But we've found that most hostility comes from fear or misunderstanding. When species realize we're not there to conquer them, they usually become more open, Sandra added. It's amazing how quickly enemies can become friends when you treat them with respect. Just like in business, Jake observed with a smile. Sandra smiled back. Exactly like in business. First impressions matter. How you treat people in that first meeting shapes everything that follows. Lisa felt those words like a physical blow. Sandra was talking about alien first contact, but the lesson applied to human interactions too. Lisa's first impression with Sandra would forever define their relationship. So, Jake said, pulling out a larger tablet, let's start designing your fleet. We have a lot of work to do and not much time to do it. As they began discussing technical specifications, Lisa finally understood what she had lost. Not just a sale, but the chance to be part of something historic. The chance to help humanity reach for the stars. The conversation between Jake, Sandra, and Alex continued for over an hour. Lisa tried to focus on her other customers, but she kept listening to fragments of their discussion. They talked about fuel ranges and diplomatic protocols. They discussed crew quarters and laboratory configurations. Every detail seemed important to the mission they were planning. Lisa's manager, Robert Chen, emerged from his office near the end of their meeting. He was a sharp man in his 50s who had built the dealership's reputation through careful attention to customer service. He noticed the extended conversation at Jake's station and walked over. "Good afternoon," Robert said, approaching the group. "I'm Robert Chen, the general manager. I hope Jake is taking good care of you." "Excellent care," Sandra said, standing to shake his hand. "He's been very helpful." Robert smiled. "Jake is one of our best. Are you working on something interesting?" "Fleet procurement for a deep space mission," Alex explained. "About 60 ships total." Robert's professional expression didn't change, but Lisa saw his eyes sharpen with interest. A 60-ship order would be the largest sale in the dealership's history. "That's a significant undertaking," Robert said. "We're honored you're considering us for such an important project." "Jake has been extremely thorough," Sandra said. "He understands our requirements perfectly." Lisa watched Robert's face as he processed this information. She could see him calculating numbers in his head. The commission on this sale would set Jake up for life. It would also earn Robert a substantial bonus from the corporate office. "I'm glad to hear that," Robert said. "Is there anything else we can do to support your decision-making process?" "Actually," Sandra said, "we were wondering about your company's experience with military contracts. This isn't just a purchase, it's a partnership. We need suppliers who share our values." Robert nodded seriously. "We've worked with the defense fleet for 15 years. Our military contracts division handles all security clearances and specialized modifications. What specific values are you looking for in a partner?" Lisa held her breath. She had a feeling this conversation was about to turn in a direction that would not favor her. "Respect for all people," Alex said simply. "The ability to work with anyone, regardless of their background or appearance. That's fundamental to our business," Robert said confidently. "We treat every customer with equal respect and professionalism." Sandra and Alex exchanged one of their meaningful looks. Lisa's stomach dropped. "That's good to hear," Sandra said carefully. "Though we did have an interesting experience earlier today." Robert's expression became more focused. "Oh? What kind of experience?" Lisa felt all eyes turning toward her. She wanted to disappear, to find some excuse to leave the showroom, but her feet seemed frozen to the floor. "When I first arrived," Sandra said, "I was directed to look at used shuttles rather than the ships I was actually interested in." Robert's face remained neutral, but Lisa could see the concern in his eyes. "That's unusual. Our policy is to show customers whatever they're interested in seeing." The salesperson explained that the premium ships were too expensive for someone like me, Sandra continued. "She said I needed to be more realistic about what I could afford." Lisa watched Robert's expression harden. She had worked for him long enough to recognize the signs. His jaw tightened slightly, his hands clasped behind his back. He was angry, but controlling it professionally. "I see," Robert said quietly. "That's not consistent with our customer service standards." Lisa Morton was the salesperson. Alex provided helpfully. Robert turned to look at Lisa across the showroom. She felt exposed under his gaze. Every mistake she had made suddenly seemed magnified. "I'll need to discuss this with Lisa," Robert said. "But first, let me assure you that this doesn't represent our company's values or normal practices." "Jake has been wonderful," Sandra said. "He's exactly the kind of partner we need for this mission." Lisa realized that Sandra was giving her manager a chance to save face. She could have complained more harshly. She could have demanded that Lisa be fired or punished. Instead, she was focusing on Jake's positive performance. "I'm glad Jake met your expectations," Robert said. "When would you like to move forward with the procurement process?" "We're ready to begin immediately," Sandra said. "Jake has all our specifications. We can start the contracting process today." Robert nodded. "Excellent. Jake, why don't you get started on the formal proposal? I'll assign our military contracts team to support you." As Jake began gathering his materials, Robert approached Lisa. His expression was carefully controlled, but she could see the disappointment in his eyes. "Lisa, could I speak with you privately?" he asked. Lisa followed him to a quiet corner of the showroom. Her heart was pounding. She had never seen Robert this seriously upset. "Do you want to explain what happened?" Robert asked quietly. Lisa looked down at her hands. "I made a mistake. I judged the customer by her appearance and assumed she couldn't afford our premium ships." "Admiral Sandra Bullock," Robert said. "One of the most famous military officers in human space. And you sent her to look at used shuttles." Lisa nodded miserably. "I didn't recognize her." "That's not the point," Robert said. "The point is that you treated a potential customer poorly based on how she looked. That's not just bad business, it's wrong." "I know," Lisa whispered. "I realize that now." Robert sighed. "Lisa, you're a good salesperson when you put in the effort, but this incident shows a problem with your judgment. A serious problem." Lisa waited for him to continue, dreading what was coming next. "I'm not going to fire you," Robert said finally, "but you're going to lose this commission. All of it goes to Jake." Lisa nodded. She had expected this. "More importantly," Robert continued, "you're going to customer service training. All of it. Starting with basic respect and dignity for every person who walks through our door." "Yes, sir," Lisa said. "And Lisa," Robert added, "this story is going to spread through the military community. Admiral Bullock didn't ask me to punish you, but people talk. Your reputation is going to suffer." Lisa understood. In the close-knit world of military procurement, word would get out about how she had treated one of their most respected leaders. Other officers would hear the story. Her career would be damaged for years to come. "I understand," Lisa said. Robert looked back toward Jake's station, where the team was already deep in planning discussions. That young man is about to become the most successful salesperson in the sector, all because he treats people with basic human decency. Lisa watched Jake explaining technical specifications to Sandra and Alex. His enthusiasm was genuine. His respect for them was obvious. He was building the kind of professional relationship that would last for years. "Learn from this, Lisa," Robert said. "Character matters more than clever sales techniques. Respect matters more than profit margins." As Robert returned to oversee the contract negotiations, Lisa stood alone with her thoughts. She had lost more than money today. She had lost her reputation, her standing in the company, and her self-respect, all because she had failed to see the worth in a quietly dressed woman who turned out to be one of the most important people in human space. 6 months later, Lisa stood in the employee break room watching the news broadcast on the wall screen. The reporter's voice filled the quiet space as images of sleek human starships moved across the display. "The Terran Deep Space Exploration fleet launched this morning from New Terra Station," the reporter announced. "Admiral Sandra Bullock's 60-ship fleet represents humanity's most ambitious venture into uncharted space." Lisa watched the ships departing in perfect formation. Each vessel gleamed with fresh construction, their hulls marked with the symbols of peaceful exploration. She recognized every model from the dealership floor. Quantum interceptors led the formation, their black hulls cutting through space like knives. Explorer-class science vessels followed, bristling with sensor arrays and communication equipment. The mission has already achieved remarkable success, the reporter continued. 3 new alien civilizations have agreed to peaceful contact protocols. Trade agreements are being negotiated with species never before encountered by humans. This NOAA screen showed footage of alien delegates meeting with human diplomats. The aliens came in all shapes and sizes, some tall and graceful, others small and quick-moving. Some looked almost human, while others were completely unlike anything from Earth. But in every image, humans and aliens stood together as equals. Jake really did build something special, said Maria, another salesperson who had joined Lisa at the break room table. Lisa nodded without speaking. Jake's commission from the fleet sale had made him wealthy enough to start his own dealership, but he had chosen to stay and help train other salespeople in proper customer service. His success had become a teaching tool for the entire company. Admiral Blake sent another order last week, Maria continued. 20 more ships for the second wave. She specifically requested Jake handle the procurement. Lisa knew about the second order. Everyone in the company knew. Admiral Blake had become their most important customer, bringing in military contracts worth billions of credits, all because Jake had treated her with basic respect from the very first moment. The news broadcast continued with an interview segment. Admiral Blake appeared on screen looking calm and confident in her dress uniform. She stood beside Captain Alex Rivers on the bridge of her flagship. Admiral, what makes this exploration mission different from previous human expansion efforts? The interviewer asked. We're not expanding to claim territory, Sandra explained. We're exploring to make friends. Every species we meet is treated as a potential partner, not a potential conquest. That approach seems to be working remarkably well, the interviewer noted. It works because it's genuine, Alex added. When alien species realize we're not there to dominate them, they respond with curiosity instead of fear. Lisa remembered Sandra saying almost the same words in the showroom 6 months ago. She had been talking about alien contact, but the principle applied to all relationships. Treat people with respect and they respond with trust. What advice would you give to other humans working in first contact situations? The interviewer asked. Sandra thought for a moment. Judge beings by their character and actions, not their appearance or background. Some of our best allies look nothing like humans. Some of our most valuable crew members came from humble beginnings. Lisa felt those words like an echo of her own failure. She had judged Sandra by her simple clothes and quiet manner, missing the remarkable person underneath. The interview moved to technical details about the exploration ships. Sandra praised their design and capabilities. She mentioned the excellent support from their procurement partners. Lisa wondered if Sandra even remembered her name. Any plans for expanding the fleet further? The interviewer asked. Absolutely, Sandra said. Success in deep space requires reliable partners back home. We work with suppliers who share our values of respect and cooperation. The broadcast ended with more footage of the exploration fleet. Ships designed for peace, crewed by people committed to building bridges instead of walls. Lisa watched until the news moved on to other stories. Maria finished her coffee and stood up. I heard you completed the customer service training program last month. All 100 hours, Lisa confirmed. Role-playing exercises, sensitivity training, cultural awareness classes. How was it? Lisa considered the question. Humbling. I learned that I had some serious blind spots in how I treated people. The training had been mandatory after the incident with Admiral Blake, but it had also been educational. Lisa learned about unconscious bias and the assumptions people make based on appearance. She practiced treating every customer interaction as important, regardless of how the customer looked or spoke. Are you doing better with customers now? Maria asked. I think so, Lisa said. I try to remember that everyone who walks through our door deserves respect. You never know who might turn out to be important, or who might become important later, Maria added. Lisa nodded. That was another lesson from her training. Today's small customer might become tomorrow's major client. The person you dismiss today might remember your treatment forever. Robert Chen entered the break room and saw them watching the blank news screen. Catching up on the exploration fleet news? Just finished, Lisa said. They're making incredible progress out there. Jake's designs are performing perfectly, Robert said with obvious pride. Admiral Blake sent a personal commendation letter. She said the ships exceed all expectations. Lisa felt a familiar pang of loss. That could have been her letter. Her commendation. Her success story. Any regrets? Robert asked, reading her expression. Lisa thought about it seriously. Of course, but I learned something valuable from my mistake. What's that? Character matters more than appearance, Lisa said. Respect is something you give freely, not something people have to earn. Robert smiled. Good, because I have news that might interest you both. The Andromedan Trade Consortium wants to discuss a major purchase, 500 ships for their new commercial routes. Maria's eyes widened. 500 ships? It's the biggest potential order in company history, Robert confirmed. They're sending representatives next week. Lisa felt her heart racing. Another chance at a major sale, another opportunity to prove herself. Who's handling the account? Maria asked. We're all handling it, Robert said. Team approach, but remember, the Andromedans judge humans by how we treat each person in their delegation. Every interaction matters. Lisa understood. This was another test of character, just like the one she had failed with Admiral Blake. But this time she would be ready. I won't make the same mistake twice, Lisa said quietly. As she walked back to the showroom floor, Lisa looked at the gleaming starships around her. Each one represented humanity's dreams of exploration and discovery. Each one could carry humans to new worlds and new friends among the stars. She thought about Admiral Blake and her fleet, somewhere in deep space making history with every peaceful contact. She thought about Jake's success, built on simple respect and human decency. She thought about the Andromedan delegation coming next week, and the chance to be part of something greater than herself. Lisa had learned that the galaxy was full of opportunities for those who knew how to see them. And seeing them started with seeing the worth in every person you met, no matter how they looked or where they came from. It was a lesson worth remembering among the stars.